Gothic 1 Remake is the game that Morrowind fans have been waiting years for. I know, that's a pretty bold statement, but let me explain to you exactly why you should be interested, specifically as a Morrowind fan, why I'm calling out Morrowind fans for a Gothic game. Gothic is the kind of game that you can really get lost in the details, and in the remake, those details shine more than ever before. This isn't the kind of RPG where you get a nice soft tutorial that tells you all of the features up front. You'll have to work for it, and as fans of Morrowind, you'll be well aware of how hard you need to work sometimes. If you ever spent time jumping for 30 minutes to get your next level of acrobatics, you might know what I'm talking about. Gothic Remake is unapologetically old school and did not remove those features even for its 2026 release. It takes a similar mental framing as one that you might do when playing a From Software game, in that you have to assume you're going to get blasted by some random enemies that you didn't see coming, you're going to get pissed off at the lockpicking mechanics, but you're going to love every goddamn painful moment, because once you've conquered the mountain, it will feel like you actually earned it. If you can get your brain to accept these things, then you might get to experience some of the best exploration in gaming, and a world that feels full and comprehensive. There's a beauty in a Piranha Bytes game, and especially Gothic, because you never really know what you're going to find. And sometimes you'll find incredible gear in the weirdest places. You might run into a seemingly average cave that opens up into an entire society. It isn't the most breathtakingly beautiful game, though I think Alchemia has done an amazing job of realizing it. To me, it looks very good, but it does have moments of awe and wonder that the flashing lights and the super high ultra AAA fidelity we get in modern RPGs doesn't always create. A Morrowind fan will be right at home in the levels of dialogue that you need to scrape through to pick up those juicy lore tidbits, something that Gothic is packed to the rim with. The actual world space in Gothic Remake isn't small, but it isn't the most expansive either if you just look at it from a surface level. But Gothic Remake has so much verticality to it. There's so many different levels in a lot of these spaces, and each NPC that are in those spaces have their own place in the ecosystem of that world. They have their own goals and ideas about how things should be, and you'll often come across new people with a fun little quest that builds on ideas and shows you the world instead of telling you. And one thing you'll learn right away is that most of these guys smoke hella weed, and you're the man who's going to sell it to them. When I say words like society and ecosystem, that is very much a deliberate word choice, because unlike many other RPGs, the world of Gothic feels like it has a real society. The three different big groups, the old camp, the new camp, and the swamp camp, all have different approaches to things. And one of the biggest choices that you'll make is which one to join. This brings to mind the factions of Morrowind, the Mages Guild, the Fighters Guild, and the Thieves Guild, but Gothic goes even further with that idea, creating a narrative perspective based on the camp that you choose, and partially cutting you off from that perspective for the camps that you didn't choose. You will not experience the entire game in a single playthrough, and that is by design. A very bold choice for an RPG in a time where you're often shoved in all directions for maximum saturation in modern RPGs, but Gothic doesn't give a shit. It locks you out of content and throws away the key. It's decisions like that that make me say you need to check your mentality at the door to really appreciate Gothic for what it is. Retro PC gaming fans, especially that have played CRPGs since the dawn of time, will probably find that easier to stomach, but it isn't for everyone, and I'm okay with that. The combat is super unforgiving, but there are ways to get through it without leaning into the frustration. For example, during quests, you're often joined by an NPC who will fight things for you, and you can gain experience as they kill enemies, and that kind of gives you a little bit of a buffer. If you use this to your advantage, you can gain materials, levels, and get money to advance your stats in whatever combat field you like, a strength build for people who like smashing things, a dex build for archers, or a mage build for magic users. I do want to say, as someone that played through the magic user portion of the game, it's such a deep and interesting system. They built so much to it. It really gives you this feeling of building from nothing that you just don't get from a lot of other games. And a lot of other games, you kind of get magic as an afterthought that you can kind of do, and you're the greatest godlike being that has ever existed right from the start. Gothic doesn't do that. You start out barely hurting anything with your magic. It's difficult to find new bits of magic throughout the game, but by the end of it, you feel awesome because you've really built out your arsenal of different magical runes and skills. You'll also quickly learn the joys of quick saving before each encounter, because at low levels, anything can take you out. It's like how in Morrowind you start out fighting those Quama foragers, the little worm guys. You think to yourself, man, screw this little worm guy, he ain't shit, and then you miss, and then you miss again, 10 times in a row. You're screaming at the screen as you embarrassingly collapse to the onslaught of the little worm boy as a cliff racer swoops down at negative speeds to peck your eyes out. Mercifully, in Gothic, you don't miss, but if you are too low a level, or your weapon isn't good enough, you might just do no damage at all, in which case run and come back later. It's a lesson that you learn many times. You'll encounter all sorts of different obstacles that you can't get past early on. Another point of frustration may be the lack of direction. For large parts of the game, there are no waypoints, no map markers, and no way to know which NPC you're looking for during some quest lines without walking up to them. So until you've really explored each location, you might run around confused and lost. This is further made difficult because NPCs have their own schedules. This is a fully simulated world, and that means that every character has a routine. Once you learn that routine, it gets easier, but at first it'll be a pain in your ass, so you kind of have to just be okay with that. I personally love not having a minimap and constant quest markers because it means that I engage more fully with the world. If I have those things, I often found myself staring at them nonstop until my eyes glaze over. I don't even think about what I'm doing. I don't see anything around me. But it's something that I think will be contentious with some people because you might feel like you're wasting your time looking for an NPC who swaps spots throughout the day. Gothic Remake has been such an incredible experience for me. I didn't play the original Gothic series until I think Gothic 3, which is kind of the black sheep of the Gothic series. It was something that I had always wanted to play at some point, and this has been really eye-opening. Even through the various balance issues, which they're starting to fix over time, and a few bugs here and there, this game has me hoping that Alchemia are going to continue with remakes of Gothic 2, and maybe even Gothic 3. That would be really awesome to see that fully realized. I love Elix and Risen as well, both other Piranha Bytes games, but Gothic really has something special. If you're a fan of open world RPGs, and especially old school PC role-playing games, this is a must play. The way that all of the systems work together, the world and the history and the lore come together, it really is a beautiful thing. So Morrowind fans, give Gothic a shot. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Just go into it with an open mind and realize that this is a very unapologetically old school game. If you're on PS5, there are apparently some insane bugs, so maybe hold off a bit over there on that one. And for more videos about RPGs of all kinds, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.